Hello and welcome to another episode of Jazzology presented by Savage Content. I'm your host, Willard Jenkins. We're here alternating Fridays, giving two jazz fans the opportunity to compete against each other for a chance to win $100. Each contestant will be asked a question worth 2 points. If they're unable to answer correctly, their opponent will have the chance to steal the question for 1 point. We'll ask 10 questions, and at the end of the 10 questions, the person with the lowest score will get a bonus question for the opportunity to tie the score. If they're successful, the game will go to sudden death. Each contestant will take turns trying to answer the sudden death multiple choice question until we have a winner. The person in the lead at the end of regulation will go first. And now let's meet this week's contestants. Our reigning Jazzology champion is Greg Bryant, who is a musician, writer, broadcaster, and a host at Sirius XM Real Jazz, where he's known as the Watchman. Greg is also a podcast host. Greg,
Yes, sir.
What can folks expect when they tune in Sirius XM for your programs? And when are you on the air?
Well, they can expect a wide variety of this continuum from bebop to now, before bebop. We try to give listeners a good entry point at all points. And you can hear me Monday through Thursday, 6 p.m. to midnight Eastern, and most Saturdays from 5 p.m. To midnight Eastern as well. Thanks for letting me do that plug, my man.
Oh yeah, we have to do that. That's what we're about here. That's for sure. Well, your challenger, we have a new challenger for you, and today's Jazzology challenger is Nathan Holaway, who is based in Lakewood, Ohio. Yes, I know that Northeast Ohio. Nathan is a teacher, saxophonist, and self-described freelance jazz musician, who is the artistic director for the Northern Ohio Youth Orchestra's Vanguard Jazz Combo and runs his own Dr. Jazz podcast, which has produced over 200 episodes. Nathan, tell us about the Dr. Jazz podcast.
Well, it's just a podcast that I started to basically share my love of jazz music, share my love of different sounds and variety and all this, love for the music, and to spin it out to everybody, because in a way it's this music has so many it's prismatic. There's so many different angles of this wonderful music, and I just want to share as many of them as possible, whether that's free jazz, whether that's straight ahead jazz, whether that's, traditional jazz from New Orleans, whether that's Chicago jazz, whether that's, contemporary jazz. It's just so wonderful, and I'm just happy to share that music. It's truly a labor of love. And
so you've got an evangelical mission.
Yes,
All
jazz evangelical mission.
All right. Well, let's get to today's Jazzology questions. And as our reigning champion, Greg Bryant goes first. Greg, saxophonist Henry Threadgill and the late bassist Fred Hopkins were 2/3 of the trio known as Air. Who was the drummer in Air? Who was that group's drummer? Was it A, Firoun Aklaf, B, Steve McCall, C, Don Moye, D, Reggie Nicholson, or E, Alvin Fielder?
Nice way to start this. I have just actually come around to listening to some Air. And of all of these gents, the only one that I knew personally was Alvin Fielder. He was somebody special. I just wanted to shout him out.
Absolutely.
Definitely check out
the pharmacist.
Indeed.
Right.
Indeed. Oh man, I'm gonna say letter B, Steve McCall.
Steve McCall is your answer?
Yes.
You are absolutely correct. The late Steve McCall was the drummer in the group Air, along with Henry Threadgill and Fred Hopkins. Wonderful trio.
Good stuff.
Nathan,
Yeah.
you mentioned New Orleans earlier.
Oh, yes.
Well, trumpeter Kermit Ruffins first came to prominence as a member of what New Orleans brass band? Was it A, the Excelsior Brass Band, B, the Soul Rebels, C, the Dirty Dozen Brass Band, D, the Rebirth Brass Band, or E, Brassaholics?
Well, we got some exceptional brass bands here on to choose from, and they all know how to party.
That's right.
So, let's see. Excelsior, if I'm going to go through this in my head, the Excelsior, I believe, is one of the earlier brass bands. So it's based on the process of elimination. I'm not going to say them. But then we have a lot more present brass bands with Soul Rebels, Dirty Dozen, the Rebirth, and the Brassaholics. Now, they each have a couple of trumpet players, and Kermit is definitely Kermit. So you can't mistake his voice on any of these recordings. But based on that info, I'm going to have to say that we need to make way for the Rebirth and go with letter D, the Rebirth Brass Band.
That is correct. That is correct. So, Greg.
Yes, sir.
Your turn next. And we're tied with one question apiece. Greg, the album Dialogue of the Drums was a percussion discussion between drummer Milford Graves and which of the following drummers? Would that have been A, Ed Blackwell, B, Andrew Cyril, C, Don Moyer, D, Steve McCall, or E, Sonny Murray?
Milford Graves, an exceptional human being. And that documentary on him, one of the best of any musician, any genre. I want to encourage folks to check that out.
And where can we find that?
I saw it on a streaming service, and I don't recall. It's
Okay.
either Hulu or Amazon Prime. It may be on the Amazon service. Wow, what an exceptional cat. I have not actually heard this album, to be honest. So this is going to be somewhat of an elimination situation. Dialogue of the Drums was the title?
Yes.
Milford Graves. Wow. I'm actually going to say, my guess is actually going to be E, Sonny Murray.
That is incorrect. And now Nathan with a chance to steal the point. Nathan, the album Dialogue of the Drums was a percussion discussion between drummer Milford Graves and which of the following drummers? Would that have been A, Ed Blackwell, B, Andrew Cyril, D, Don Moyer, C, Don Moyer, D, Steve McCall, and Sonny Murray has been eliminated.
I want to echo that Milford is a fantastic human being. A lot of great recordings with the New York Art Quartet, even like a duo recording with John Zorn for his 50th birthday. That was incredible music. But I'm going to have to say I'm kind of with the Watchman on this one. I have not heard this album either. And I know that so many of these are conversational drummers with their playing. From Famudu Don Moyer on to Ed Blackwell and some of his stuff with Don Cherry, Andrew Cyril as well. These are just Steve McCall, of course, and Air. These are all just fantastic drummers, but I'm going to have to guess as well. And I do want to hear this album. That's for sure now. But I'm going to have to guess Ed Blackwell, A.
That is incorrect as well. The drummer who made that duo percussion album with Milford Graves was B. Andrew Cyril.
Okay.
Andrew Cyril made that recording with Milford Graves. Nathan, you're up next.
Yes, sir.
The tune In Your Own Sweet Way was written by which of the following composers? Was it A, Duke Ellington, B, Wayne Shorter, C, Dave Brubeck, D, Tad Dameron, or E, Oliver Nelson?
Talk about a who's who of composers. Someone as quantum as Duke, someone who is forward thinking as Wayne. Of course, being here in Cleveland, I'm always partial to Tad Dameron.
Of course.
Of course, man. Yeah. Of course, that was a great standard that Miles recorded as well on the Workin' album for Prestige and all that. But I'm going to have to say that the correct answer for this one is C, Dave Brubeck.
Yep, that is correct. Dave Brubeck did indeed contribute that beautiful piece In Your Own Sweet Way. Greg, you're up next.
All right.
Greg, who wrote the book Soul on Soul, The Life and Music of Mary Lou Williams? Was that A, Dan Morgenstern, B, Gene Seymour, C, Tammy Kernodle, D, Farrah Jasmine Griffin, or E, Robert O'Meally?
Okay. Yeah, I know I've learned a lot from Mr. Morgenstern, wonderful historian, and he knew a lot of those cats in that era. But I'm actually going to go with E, Robert O'Meally.
That is incorrect. Nathan with a chance to steal the point. Nathan, who wrote the book Soul on Soul, The Life and Music of Mary Lou Williams? Would that have been A, Dan Morgenstern, B, Gene Seymour, C, Tammy Kernodle, or D, Farrah Jasmine Griffin? Robert O'Meally has been eliminated.
Mary Lou Williams, what a very special person in jazz. She was kind of like the Mother Teresa of jazz musicians.
Yeah, good characterization.
I mean, she opened up she bought that place in Harlem, wasn't it? That basically it allowed, it was a place that actually would feed and clothe jazz musicians that needed help and care. And she's a special, special person. I'm going to have to say A, Dan Morgenstern for this one.
That is incorrect. The correct answer, and if you follow Jazzology, you know that the champions face a certain higher degree of difficulty in the questions. So that was a question specifically for our champion. But just to let y'all know, the author of the book Soul on Soul, The Life and Music of Mary Lou Williams, was actually C, Tammy Kernodle, who is a professor at Miami University of Ohio and a tireless researcher into the life of Mary Lou Williams. So look her up and look up the book Soul on Soul. Jazzology is brought to you by Savage Content. Savage Content is building music, art, and creative content for the soul, spirit, and empowerment. This week's spotlight is on two very energetic performers, two energetic performances recorded live at the famous Cutting Room venue in New York City. First, we have The Professor, Adrian Cunningham's performance of Roger Miller's Ooh-de-Lily. Second is by Alfonso Horn, with special guest vocalist C. Anthony Bryant, performing a lively rendition of What a Wonderful World. These exclusive performances feature guest band members jazz aficionados may very well recognize. And both of these performances are available now. Just go to youtube.com/@savagecontent. You'll find great jazz, Latin jazz, folk, fine arts, and you'll also find past episodes of Jazzology to enjoy. Now it's time to ask our question, it's time to ask our contestants our favorite question. Nathan, how did you fall in love with jazz?
Purely happenstance. I started band in 6th grade, and I started playing the alto saxophone. And that was in August, and by that December, my grandmother had said, well, if you're going to play a horn, you might as well listen to real horn music. And I'm like, what are you talking about, real horn music? And my gift was this Jazz Best CD of 20 tracks. And the first track was Louis Armstrong. And the second track was Duke Ellington. And that was my left-right punch. And
what a 1-2 punch.
Yeah. Never looked back after that.
And Greg, you've answered this question previously, but what keeps you interested in jazz?
Well, I would say learning about and having experiences over and over where my life has been changed or altered. This morning, I was in the kitchen with my wife. She was actually cooking, and we were listening to Billie Holiday, and Loverman came on. And I remember as a 5-year-old kid at my grandfather's house, hearing that tune and just marveling and wondering, who is that? What is that voice doing? Why is it that it sounds so frail but so powerful, and I'm hanging on every word? I didn't even know about, what she was singing about, but the impact and the vibe and the sound, it just bowled me over. And I've had too many experiences like that throughout life that just keeps me returning again and again and again.
So it's interesting that one part of your comment there. Here is a voice you heard that was not this overwhelming, powerful voice, but was a voice you detected a certain fragility in.
That's it.
And that kind of drew you in.
That's right.
I hear you. I hear exactly what you're saying. Nathan, you're up next.
Sure.
Nathan, the annual New Mexico Jazz Festival is presented in which city? Is it A, Albuquerque, B, Los Alamos, C, Las Cruces, D, Santa Fe, or E, Albuquerque and Santa Fe?
Ooh, that's a toughie.
It's a great festival, by the way.
I have not made it out to New Mexico yet to see that one. My big claim to fame was the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival. And I was lucky enough to meet Ornette there once.
Nice.
Yeah. Beautiful human being. So wonderful. But I have not made it out to New Mexico yet. And I don't know why, but Nat King Cole is just running through my head with Route 66 at this point. So, all the steps and the stops along the way. There's no flag staff, so that eliminates that one from I'm going to have to just completely be honest and guess with this one and say A, Albuquerque.
Greg,
yes, sir.
Your chance to steal the point. The annual New Mexico Jazz Festival is presented in which city? And A, Albuquerque has been eliminated. That leaves B, Los Alamos, C, Las Cruces, D, Santa Fe, or E, Albuquerque and Santa Fe?
Mm-hmm. Well, I too have yet to journey to New Mexico, to be honest. But I'm going to try to use my spidey senses on this one and anticipate the wisdom of one Willard Jenkins and say perhaps the letter E is our answer.
That is correct. The New Mexico Jazz Festival is a combo pack. It's presented in both Albuquerque and Santa Fe. It was actually started by a really fine guy, a saxophonist himself named Tom Gorolnik,
Okay.
who founded an organization in Albuquerque called Outpost.
Mm.
And years later, after founding our Outpost, he began a partnership with an entity in Santa Fe. And so the New Mexico Jazz Festival is presented in both places, Albuquerque and Santa Fe, and it's in mid-September, and it's highly recommended.
Okay.
So, Greg.
Yes, sir.
You're up next. Greg, what author collaborated with the late Yusef Lateef on Yusef's autobiography titled The Gentle Giant? Would that have been A, Stanley Crouch, B, Herb Boyd, C, Amiri Baraka, D, A.B. Spellman, or E, Robin D.G. Kelly?
Oh, man. I'm getting the doozies today.
You're the champion, right? The champion gets the doozies.
I'm actually it's that's an interesting question, and all of these authors just amazing in their wealth of knowledge. I'm going to go with letter D, A.B. Spellman.
That is incorrect. And Nathan with a chance to steal the point. Nathan, what author collaborated with the late Yusef Lateef on his autobiography, The Gentle Giant? Would that have been A, Stanley Crouch, B, Herb Boyd, C, Amiri Baraka, and D, A.B. Spellman has been eliminated, E, Robin D.G. Kelly?
Oh, man. Yeah, let me echo what Greg said, that all these are fantastic writers. Oh, and Yusef was a fantastic, fantastic human being. I knew a friend that was in Amherst when he was the guest artist there, and one of the in Massachusetts, and one of
University of Massachusetts, yeah.
And one of the assignments was to transcribe what the birds were chirping. That's beautiful, man. So yeah, you gotta love Yusef.
But who wrote his book?
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. If you can't tell, I'm stalling to think. So, I'm gonna say it's. I read the book by Robin D.G. Kelly on Monk, and that was fantastic.
Yep.
Oh, I'm thinking it's between Stanley and Amiri. I'm gonna have to go with Amiri Baraka.
The book, the autobiography of Yusef Lateef, known as The Gentle Giant, was written with B, Herb Boyd. So Nathan, you're up next.
Okay.
Spaces was the title of a 1970 album led by the late guitarist Larry Coryell, an album that featured Chick Corea, Miroslav Vitus, Billy Cobham, and which of the following guitarists? Would that have been A, Al Di Meola, B, Bill Frisell, C, Pat Metheny, D, John McLaughlin, or E, George Benson?
All fantastic guitarists. All fantastic guitarists. And you would think maybe it'd be Al Di Meola because Chick Corea's on that album. And you would think maybe Pat Metheny based on the fact about the same time period. It's a little early for Bill Frisell to be on that album. And George Benson, I'm not sure that was really his kind of jam. So, although he can do a lot. But luckily, I have this Larry Coryell album. And yeah, it's got a trippy cover too. So, I happen to know that the answer is D, John McLaughlin on that.
That is correct. And that was a pretty good process of elimination with one possible exception.
Okay.
Yes, it was too early for Bill Frisell, but it was also too early for Pat Metheny as well.
Oh.
Yeah. All right, Greg, you're up next.
All right.
Greg, in which of the following New York City jazz clubs did the Mingus Big Band hold a long-time weekly residency? Would that have been A, Iridium, B, Jazz Standard, C, Blue Note, D, Birdland, or E, Smalls?
Well, true to the name, it would have been difficult to get the whole Mingus Big Band in E, Smalls. I've seen bands there, but that's a juggernaut of a situation at its largest. A great memory at the Jazz Standard among many was eating those what I call big Brontosaurus ribs on a Mingus Monday. So I'm gonna go with letter B, Jazz Standard.
That is correct. And you're right about another thing, too, that the Jazz Standard had a great menu.
They did.
That was one jazz club where you could get a guaranteed good dinner and hear a set at the same time.
That's it.
Yes, I missed that place.
Me too, man.
All right.
Wow.
Nathan.
Yes, sir.
Which of the following famous New York City jazz clubs was not located on the famed 52nd Street strip of jazz clubs? Emphasis was not located on 52nd Street strip of jazz clubs. Would that have been A, the Three Deuces, B, the Onyx, C, the Famous Door, D, Birdland, or E, Kelly's Stable?
If I get this wrong, I'm going to kick myself. And the reason I say that is because I have this picture in my hallway, and it's of the rainy night on 52nd Street, and it's got both of the clubs on either side and the cars parked.
Right.
That famous photograph.
Yes.
So I'm never going to be, if I get this wrong, I'm never going to be able to look at that
That's a
picture.
Bill Gottlieb photo.
Yes. Yeah, Bill Gottlieb. Love it. Okay, so let's break this down. I know Birdland was there because that was Charlie Parker's club. The Three Deuces were there because that's where a lot of cats like Roy Eldridge used to play. The Onyx was there because that was where like Art Tatum and cats like that used to play. So if I'm remembering correct, it's either going to be C, the Famous Door, or E, Kelly's Stable. And I think both of those had a lot of trad jazz cats going to play at them. So I'm trying to remember. Trying to remember in my memories of memories. I think the answer is E, Kelly Stable.
That's incorrect. The key to this question is, which of the following famous New York City jazz clubs was not located on the famed 52nd Street strip of jazz clubs Greg Bryant? Was it A, the Three Deuces, B, the Onyx, C, the famous Door, D, Birdland, or E, Kelly Stable?
Well, he's right about the Three Deuces. It was on the strip, as was the Onyx and C, the famous Door. But technically speaking, Birdland D was located on Broadway between 52nd and 53rd, across from the Ed Sullivan Theater. So I'm going with Birdland.
You are correct. And I guess the trick there is that Birdland was certainly associated with that time frame and that strip, but Birdland was not geographically located on that 52nd Street strip. We have a tie at 6-6. So we will go with Nathan will go next with our bonus round. You ready, Nathan?
Yes, sir. Fingers crossed.
The original host of the National Public Radio Jazz Series, known as Jazz Alive, was whom? Was it A, Mark Ruffin, B, Dr. Billy Taylor, C, Dee Dee Bridgewater, D, Wynton Marsalis, or E, Branford Marsalis?
Ooh. All right. Got to go back in my memories here. I think Dee Dee Bridgewater did Jazz Set. I'm trying to remember. I think Dr. Billy Taylor did live at the Kennedy Center. But that might have been a part of Jazz Alive. I'm going to take a shot in the dark and say I'm going to go with my gut and say Dr. Billy Taylor.
That is correct. Dr. Billy Taylor was the host, the original host of the National Public Radio Jazz Series known as Jazz Alive. And that means that Nathan Holaway is our champion for this week.
Thank you.
All right. Congratulations to Nathan Holaway on your win.
Congrats, man.
We encourage
you, Watchman.
he broke the Watchman streak.
All good.
Congratulations, Nathan Holaway, on your win.
Thank you.
We encourage each and every one of you to try your hand and play Jazzology. We are particularly encouraging more women to compete on Jazzology. I know that sounds like a mantra, but we really mean that. And if anyone watching would like to become a contestant on Jazzology, click the link below and simply fill out the form. You must be 18 years old or older. And be sure to follow us on social media at Jazzology Trivia Show. That's at Jazzology Trivia Show to get all the latest news and updates. Thanks so much to Greg Bryant and Nathan Holaway, our new champion, and to everyone who joined us for our 29th episode of Jazzology today. Remember, you can check out Jazzology every other Friday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you missed the show live, you can find the archive on the Savage Content YouTube channel. Thank you both. And Nathan, we'll see you on the next episode of Jazzology. And Greg, I'm certain that you'll be back.
Right on.
Take care, Watchman.
Be good, my man. Keep the streak going.
Yeah.